Noel Blue. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to try something just a little bit different. I am currently reading Renegades by Marissa Meyer right here, and I'm having a little bit of difficulty making it through. I actually went to BookCon recently and heard her talk about the story. I really do like superheroes. I'm a diehard comic book fan. I love DC comics mostly because they're a little bit darker. I do love Marvel movies with Avengers and everything coming out. I'm like, yeah, story. Let's read about superheroes. And then once I started reading into it, I'm like, starting to fizzle just a little bit. I love the action scenes, the sequences there, the superheroes themselves, even the backstory to how the world became how it is really interesting. It's just that there are parts of the story that kind of drag for me. So I wanted to try something a little bit different. This will be my first read-along vlog that I did check around BookTube and see if other people do things like that so that I know that it's not just me doing it. And I did see quite a few people who I follow who also do these kinds of things. So I did just want to do a quick vlog video for you guys. Hopefully it'll inspire me to continue reading the story through to fruition. And then hopefully you guys, care enough to read along and comment what you think also about the story. So I do know for a fact that this came out, I think, around last December, so December 2017 or so. It's a fairly newer release, but we're actually waiting for Arch Enemies, which is the second installment of the Renegades book. Just for starters, one of the things I love most about Renegades, and one of the things that made me, even before I did hear about her talking about it at BookCon, one of the things that interested me in the series itself was the cover. I love blue. All book covers that are blue are my favorite book covers. And I really like this one. It automatically you kind of get that it is about superheroes. You got the high metropolis tower, clearly she's the bad guy or not. Maybe he's the bad guy. You're not really sure. I actually picked this one up at Barnes & Noble's. I usually get my books from Thrift Books because they're super cheap. I'll put a code for my Thrift Books code down there below. But this is the Barnes & Noble special edition, and it's supposed to have behind-the-scenes content from the author inside. So I did pick this up at Barnes & Noble. I did get it after BookCon. I didn't actually get this at BookCon, and it was actually only $20 in the U.S. It's $25.99 if you get it in Canada. So what's interesting most about the book was actually listening to Marissa Meyer talk about it at BookCon. Honestly, she kind of talked it up mostly during the panel where we were discussing world building. And of course, she plugged a new book. So Renegades is supposed to be, it is a YA book, number one. It is about superheroes, number two. There is a little bit of a love story going on, number three. The story itself is told from the perspective of Nova Artino, aka Nightmare, aka Insomnia. And also from the perspective of Adrian, aka Sketch, aka the Sentinel. So we have lots of dual and triple identities here, which is one of the things that I do find fascinating about the book. However, as far as I'm concerned, and I've only read up to chapter 15 at this point, and actually, to be honest, I read a little bit past that, but I broke this book up. It ends up being about, I want to say 500 pages or so. Yes, it ends up being about 552 pages of actual story. Then she's got the acknowledgments, which makes it about 555. And then the behind the scenes content seems to be notes and things that she added into the book for you there, and I'll probably take some pictures and post that up, but that's about 4 or 5 extra pages into the book of notes. So my point is that it is a pretty lengthy book. Most of the books that I read are more than 300 pages or so, and I usually split them up over 3 days. I usually can read 190 pages easy in one sitting if the story is, drawing me in. I breezed through the first 2 chapters of the book and then kind of hit a wall and then kind of stalled there. And I realized looking back on it so far, it's because when you first start the book, it is high energy, high action, really intense. And then it kind of slows to give you the build up and the backstory of what's actually happening and the characters themselves. As far as character development goes, it is a great device to use, slowing the story down just so you can kind of be in the moment with your characters. However, for me personally, as far as reading it goes, it does drag a little bit in between the action sequences. So I find myself looking forward to the fight scenes and action scenes and sequences and things like that, but I find myself rolling my eyes in between that because it's like, this is taking forever. And again, like I said, I like the concept so far. It's just, it is taking me a little bit of time to get through it, and I'm working on that. So I'm officially actually on page 199, which is, it's actually right in the middle of chapter 15. So I haven't made it to chapter 16 yet. I did want to chit chat with you guys for a little bit about it. Again, like I said, I love the world itself, the superhero world, the concept of it. I was reading some other comments and people were suggesting that it is kind of like a dystopian in the sense that society as we know it currently is gone. And this is a new hierarchy system, governmental system that has been put in place. It's just different because it is a governmental system put in place with superheroes. I also really find it interesting. Pardon. I also really find it interesting that in this world, the real practical applications of being a superhero, the actual understanding of what it means to live in a society where people save you from things is slightly problematic. They're not okay with it. Not everyone's okay with it. The villains are actually drawing very real issues from this. In a society where, people don't have to fend for themselves and they don't actually have to take care of themselves and rise to the occasion, people don't evolve. And so all you have are superheroes who are here to take care of you. And that in itself can be problematic. These are the characters that I do like so far. We've been introduced to Nova, who is our primary character. Obviously, you can understand, like, even though they break it down, Nova is the primary character, and then Sketch is kind of like the male lead of the story. So you have Nova Artino, who originally, right off the bat, I should say that this video does have spoilers. I'll actually let people know that it has spoilers. I'll probably shoot something separate so that they know that it has spoilers. But this is a read along, so hopefully you're reading along with me. This is chapter 1 to chapter 15. We'll do more later. But so at this point, we've been introduced to Nova Artino, who is our female lead and the main character of the story. And we see from her perspective that she is actually the reason why we even have society as it is right now is because very much in the way of X-Men, people who were called prodigies, who were humans with supernatural abilities or metaphysical abilities, prodigies were being persecuted at this time. Her uncle is basically the Magneto of this world. He was tired of being mistreated for having his gifts, and so he and his group led an uprising to kind of take control, and that was the Age of Anarchy. In the Age of Anarchy, other more militant, more aggressive people kind of did the same thing, and these revolts turned into an age, about 10 years, a decade of chaos and corruption where people were always in danger. And from this darkness came the superheroes. So from these people, from this, people got tired of everyone being taken advantage of, and then you had a select group of people who were actually like, you know what, we're going to stand up and clean up the city and actually make it a better place for everyone again. That was the intention, but that wasn't what happened naturally. So you see that Nova is actually a small child and she's got a family, and her family is brutally murdered, very much in the way of Batman, unfortunately, with the addition of her younger sister also being murdered. You also see again that her uncle is Ace Anarchy after the fact, and that he actually takes her in under his wing. And so her uncle, who is supposed to be a villain, is actually her salvation, and the superheroes that are supposed to be their salvation have forsaken her in her mind and in her reality. So I think that that is why Nova is such an interesting character, because you have a woman who did go through something so tragic, and as a small child, a young girl who goes through something so tragic, and she remembers that. And then shortly after that, the Renegades, who are the superheroes in this world, actually go up against her uncle, who is the leader of all the villains, so to speak. And during the battle for Gatlin City, and of course, Gatlin City is the superhero world where they live, Gatlin, the battle for that, Ace Anarchy, her uncle, the only family she has left, is also murdered or defeated by the Renegades. So now she's got, you know, an actual vendetta against these superheroes, and she, you know, goes into hiding with the anarchists. The anarchists are the villains in our story. And we kind of fast forward to where she is now. She's grown with the anarchists, the villains, who aren't villains to her. Of course, no one's the villain of their own story, which is interesting because that's actually what Marissa Meyer said at BookCon when she was discussing the actual book itself. When she was promoting it, she's like, you know, no one's ever the villain of their own story. That's one of the reasons why I picked the book up, because we do understand that Nova is a bad guy. But like she said, no one is the villain of their own story. So I'm really big this year for some reason. And honestly, we can thank Gregory Meyer for doing this to me with his story Wicked and then The Ugly Stepsister. I actually just bought Mirror Mirror. We'll talk about that in a book haul that I'm doing. But this year I'm really into stories that, you know, do explore the bad guy's perspective. I'm really big into anti-heroes. I love Deadpool for that reason. I do like darker characters who may not necessarily be good, but they aren't necessarily bad either. I loved Kelowna in the House of Night series. I might actually do a video all about my favorite anti-heroes. That's something to think about. But yes, so I mean, I'm all for that. And so she is not technically a good guy, but she is not necessarily a bad guy either. She does try to kill someone within the first chapter or so. Like literally it opens with her trying to assassinate somebody. And again, like I said, this will have some spoilers. I'll try to keep as many spoilers out just in case you guys are reading along. But if you are reading along, then you know exactly what I'm talking about already. So also just to keep that in mind, so Sketch is another character introduced immediately in the beginning of the book. And honestly, as far as Sketch goes, I feel like although I do like his superpower, I don't really care for the Sentinel character so much. I feel like I don't really like the Sentinel character that much. I don't like him as a Sentinel. I do like Sketch. I like Adrian. I like Adrian as a normal person and an artist. I like his superpower, the drawing ability. I don't really know how I feel about his ability to give himself powers based on his drawing. I think that might be an abuse of his power. The Sentinel, I don't like the Sentinel superhero character at all. Right now at chapter 15, I'll probably feel something different. In chapter 15, as you're reading chapter 15, if I'm not mistaken, that's where it is. There is an explanation as to where the Sentinel came from. I like the backstory of the Sentinel character. I don't currently care for it because as a Sentinel, he's a ditz. He's not as bright as he seems. And I feel like Adrian Sketch is pretty clever. He's also a little spoiled, a little pampered. He, you know, feels like he's on the right side of things. And so that douchey, I hate frat boy characters, and I feel like that's kind of where he's building up to. Like he's going to be that, you know, golden boy power child who, because they assume he can do no wrong, he assumes he can do no wrong. He just assumes, very pompous, which the Sentinel is based on the writing. So kudos to Marissa Meyer for giving me two very different characters so far who are very pivotal in themselves, but I like Nova better, and I'm not really for Sketch. Frostbite has already gotten on my nerves as a character. Now, to be fair, she is a renegade. She is supposed to be one of the good guys. As much as I love, I'm trying to get that glare from my glasses off, and I cannot. As much as I love an anti-hero, I also have a special hatred in my heart for good guys who were supposed to be good guys who are actually bad guys. So you are introduced to Frostbite as being a superior team leader of another group that are, of renegades, and they get results, and then you see her be, and her team actually be very, cruel. Now, in a time where we are experiencing police brutality and things like that, I feel like that is a really powerful thing to include in the story, because the renegades at this point are like the police, and you have police who, because we just assume that you're up to something, we're going to come and mess up your stuff. And there's a scene where Honey, who used to be a villain, but her superpower is she can control bees and hornets and things of that nature. At this point, now that the anarchists are defunct, so to speak, she's literally the most harmless of the group. And they took her beehives and they smashed them just for the sake of smashing them. They also took all of their food and ripped that up and tore that up, knowing that in this time where people are still recovering from the age of anarchy, food and things like that are hard to come by. These renegades, these superheroes, these heroes who were supposed to be helping and protecting and really just questioning them to find out what's going on, were very antagonistic and cruel without purpose. And so I think that was a really powerful scene in the book so far. It was one of the things, it was in the middle of a period where I was kind of over, what was going on as a whole. I was happy that the Sentinel showed up when he did in that moment. I am very annoyed with the character as a whole, though. Like, he showed up and was there to wittily outmaneuver Frostbite and her team, but when he got there, he basically was the same cliche that he was. And honestly, I think that might be my actual issue with Adrian as a whole. At this point, what it means to be a superhero, what it means to be a hero for him, seems to be a cliche from a comic book that he read or was working on. He understands that. I think that's also why I like Nova. Nova understands that being a superhero and being a hero in any capacity is more about what you do. And she actually says that in the book. It's more about what you do versus, what you can do. And I think that's important, especially in a book full of superheroes, because they even have these trials where, in order to make it into the Renegades, you have to audition. And the auditioning is basically you walking to a stadium full of people waiting to see something fantastic. And if you aren't fantastic enough, they don't even give you a chance. And that's sad. And that's literally, I do like that Sketch and Nova both agree on that is not necessarily the way to go, to pick an actual, someone to protect your city. You want someone who actually cares. And because then you end up with people like Frostbite, who she has a really interesting power, but she also is yes, she is. She's not a good person, and I can tell it already. I was supposed to read this within 3 days. It's actually taken me much longer than that. Woo. In addition to me working that, I've also been trying to work on the website, bluemoonfiction.com. I've been trying to keep up the blog posting. I just got a new film editing software so that I can actually do these videos on a more regular basis. I've also been doing some research. Just a lot. I've been buying books and going to check out books. Check out my Instagram, which is at Blue Moon Fiction, for my bookstore browsing, which will be a weekly thing where it's just new books that I've checked out at the bookstore. And I'll try to do different bookstores, but right now Penn Bookstore is my home of homes. So that's where I am so far. I'm in the middle of chapter 15 with Renegades. Again, I am going to try to do a new video with you guys really soon. If you are starting Renegades, definitely read along. Let me know what you think. As I said, I'm up to this. I'm actually working my way through the next 15 chapters, so I'm going to be stopping at chapter 13 moving forward. I'll probably do another video once I get to chapter 30. Okay, Okay, so thank you for checking out this video. I will see you in my next video. I'm still reading Renegades. I'm actually going to read I'm going to read up to chapter 30. I'm on chapter 15 right now, in the middle. I'm going to read up to chapter 30, and I'll probably do another video once I get to chapter 30. If you are currently reading along with me, then be sure to comment down below your thoughts on the characters, on the setting, on the world we're in. Let me know your thoughts on the story as a whole. Is it just me, or does it drag in between the action sequences? If you agree or disagree, definitely let me know. I am dying to hear from you. Let me know if I'm all by myself in this. Yeah, be sure also to like this video if you did like it. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this while I'm reading along. Also, more book hauls and things of that nature. Be sure to check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WordPress, of course. Blue Moon Fiction is coming. BlueMoonFiction.com is coming soon. I should be done right around my birthday, which is November, and I am going to have an amazing launch party just to celebrate this fantastic accomplishment. So thank you so much for checking me out, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.